I want to start by saying that communication is something needs training, almost like there is a muscle that you need to practice and exercise. And if you don't use it, will atrophy and get smaller. Our children is the most important investment in our lives. And if we do not try to engage them into communications, we will never explain what we have in our minds and what they are struggling with in their lives. And because of that, I would like to discuss with you what are the issues that if we were to not communicate could result. The families that do not have communications in their house, they will have no understanding what the children are going through. You may not understand that your son is being bullied. You may not know that your daughter has a crush on one of the boys. You may not know that your boy has very bad friends who are giving him some wrong stuff to watch or to smoke. You may not know that your daughter is receiving sexting. You may not know what are the doubts your son has about God and his existence. Another negative, if you were not to communicate, you will not grow to become friends. As I always say, I want every parent to have an end game. My end game is when you are in my age, your children will be your friends. They want to go out with you. They can talk to you about things in their lives, and you vice versa. If you were to avoid communications now, do not ask them to be your friends then. A third negative. If you have a lack of communications in your home with your children, you will have anger developing and growing in your kids' lives. Because when they don't know how to express themselves, they will go into anger fits, which more than likely you will discipline them, or you will harm them, or you will punish them, or you will do something. But maybe you never ask them, why did you behave like such? Another point of lack of communication and negatives. You may not know that your kids are lacking love, intimacy, and they are eagerly needing your hug, your embrace, your kisses, because you never talk to them. I always say, the daughter that's not kissed at home and not hugged at home, unfortunately, there may be time you cannot blame her if she receives those outside. And that's probably one of the major negatives of lack of communications. Okay. Now, with that said, I would like you also to understand, if you were to engage in communications, how would you do that? Now, when do you do it first? You communicate with your children as early as possible. So if you are listening to me and you have a 3-year-old, start communicating now. Talk, discuss, ask, give them bedtime stories, spend time talking. This line grows with your age. If your sons and daughters are already 19 and up, I have some bad news. You may not be able or may not be easy to start inventing communication lines now when you have never done them in the last 17 years. You can do your best, but pray more. Because if your kids are refusing to communicate, I'm sorry, it may not be easy anymore. But I'll come back to when they are older what to do. When you communicate, so start early. Number 2, prepare yourself for communications. One of my amazing mentors that I still feel very indebted to, Dr. Nabil Ba'i, may God preserve his life. I remember when he used to tell me more than 25 years ago that when he takes his son or daughter to an American football game or other games, he actually reads about who is playing, who is the best player, how much is worth, what type of injuries the team had, what are they expecting, what type of expectations of who will play first and who will play second, who will not play, everything. And when I tell him, what is this all about? He said, because I find I prepare a Sunday school lesson in the church for the kids. And I have a more important lesson to prepare when I am with my son or daughter. I will prepare myself, I will study, and will be ready for their questions. So you want to build a communication line, prepare yourself. Read. Learn what is their life all about. Find their interests. Know their hobbies. Study their friends. Find out their worries and concerns. I think the parent who is very engaged in her or his daughter or son's life will have a lot to talk about. I got to help a young girl who had eating disorder, to be specific, anorexia. And this young, beautiful lady, unfortunately, had very little communications with her mother. But when there is communication, the only thing was said, you are too fat. Whether it is said for an intention for the girl to lose weight or any other intention, that's probably a communication is better not to have. I would rather have no communication rather than bad communication. Because this young lady, when she's starting having these difficult disorders, unfortunately, the mother wasn't in the picture to help or communicate. I don't want any of you to wait until something like this happens and regret the lack of communication that had happened for the past years. Now, there are reasons for lack of communications, every parent will say. And I want to start by saying time. I don't think in the Western society there is a parent who has lots of time. But I want to submit to all of you that time is what defines you as a parent. Kids know you as time, spent, not how much money you bring or how big your house is or how decent your car is. While these things may be important to some kids, your time spent with your children is what governs the future communications. So please, if you are going to try to convince me or yourselves that you do not have time, that's why you do not communicate, I will tell you, when you are 60 years old, do not then regret that your children are not having friendships with you. They don't have time either, because you never gave them time when they were young. I'm sorry I'm tough. I don't mean it. But I mean how much you mean to them when you do not give time in the years where they need you the most. Now, one of the other reasons for lack of communication, kids do not want to talk to us. The most common answer every parent will say, kids don't like to talk to us. And I agree with you. I agree with you. To an extent, though. The extent is, are you trying to talk to them in their language or in your language? If I start talking medicine now, and very sophisticated medicine, many of you will just shut off the camera because they will not understand. It's the same like if you are in chemical engineering and you start talking to me, I will lose interest. Many of us parents talk to our children like a news agent giving the weather, the killing, the fatalities, the percentage. Did you eat? Did you drink? How did you do in school? How are your friends? Did you go to church? It's almost like bullets, but you never talk their language. You never talk about the new phone that's coming. You never speak about certain type of genes that everybody's talking about. You never discuss a special fashion clothes that a lot of actresses are writing about and all the young girls and their teens are dreaming to have. You never spoke about the sneaker that everybody's dreaming to have even a glimpse of how it looks like, let alone own it. That's their language. I'm not saying spend all the time talking about the sneaker and the fashion, but that's how you get into the discussion with the kid. You don't start with your own interest and your own communications. You bring their language to the discussion, and hence the kid will be attracted to bring more. Here comes again Dr. Nabil Ba'i, when he started talking about the American football and who is playing and how much they are worth. And do you think if we start talking to him, to his kid, and say, lately I see you have been a bit down, you want to talk about it? I assure you, the chance of a boy talking now after his father talked about a football game are far higher than when what's wrong with you? I see you are down. Tell me. I need to know now. What? Are you interrogating your kid or trying to understand your kid? What would then a police officer would do? You are the mom. You are the dad. Number 3 reason your concern and worry about your kids may result in a different line of communication that best not said. You are too scared that, God forbid, your daughter is having sex. God forbid. And the way you are showing the concern and the way you're talking, you are very stressed, very tense, your face is showing, you are tremulous, your level of anger is coming up, and maybe at the end you were completely mistaken. And by the way, God forbid if your daughter is engaged in some wrong relationship, this type that I was just showing will be the least adaptable way for your daughter to discuss her major concerns. 5. Another reason for a negative that would come from the lack of communication. I want to consider God, church, kingdom of heaven. You are the first and the most important teacher your kids will see. Not Abuna, not the priest, not the Sunday school teacher, not the teacher in the school, you. You want to teach them about heaven. You want to communicate with them the value of the church. You want to discuss with them the value of the liturgy and the body and blood. If you don't make this in the way they like, and you bring it in the most interesting way, believe me, once they have their freedom and they have their car, they may not even go to liturgy. Because you never convinced them, you never discussed it. You were basically pushing them to attend with no reason. Why are we attending liturgy? Why you guys think we should go to church? What do you think the body and blood means? What is the heavenly prayer means to you? Who said it? Why? What does it mean? I can tell you there are so much we are responsible in our kids' lives to go to heaven through communications. So I received this question that the mom is saying, sometimes my children ask questions that I don't know the answer to. What should I do? Thank you for the question. The answer is I don't know. Don't fake it and don't make it. Just say, you know what? I actually don't know the answer to this question. You know what? I am sure I can, if I ask somebody in that field, I can get back to you with a better answer. I hate to give you a wrong answer. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't change the subject as if the answer is not worth it and the question is unimportant. He's asking about planets. He's asking about how babies come from the mother's womb. And you are very uncomfortable with that question. Tell them, let me try to get back to you on how to answer this question. Even if it's as simple as birth and as difficult as planets. But you are not ready yet. That's okay. Another question that came, when I answer my kids' questions, sometimes I give them so much information that I feel they are getting confused. Should I keep giving the same amount? Give them the information to their level and to their age, and do not try to give a lecture about a question they may have asked without even too much interest in. But there are certain questions you have an investment in. They're friends. So you start asking them, by the way, you keep saying Nicole, Nicole. Who is Nicole? And your daughter will say, oh, she's my best friend. Oh, great. I would love to meet her one day. Tell me more about her. You're showing interest in your daughter's life in school. She tells you, oh, I have a great friend. Her name is Nicole. Okay, good. Did you do your homework? That's not communications. Your kid is talking to you that he hates his teacher and he's not doing in school. That's not my problem. You must do good. I cannot get you a different teacher. You have to do what you have to do. And by the way, I don't want to ever hear what's going on. That's not communications. Did you hear why he doesn't like the teacher? Maybe there is a good reason. Maybe the place he sits. Maybe he needs glasses. Maybe the kid next to him. Maybe the teacher is obnoxious. Maybe many things. Maybe your kid have a hearing issues. Did you have a chance to try to analyze what he's trying to tell you? Another point I would like to make, when try to be creative in solving the problems of your children. Like, try not to tell them there is only one way to solve the problem, unless there is only one way. But please try to be creative and try to come up with more ideas. And tell him, let's look it up. Let's ask around. Come on, let's go to Google. Let's go to here. Let me tell you what I know, but I would like to study more. Another point to grow in your communications with your children is being polite. None of us like people to come down on us, belittle us, mock us, because right away we become defensive. Let's say your child or your daughter or your son, they were a little bit loud, or don't be impolite and right away talk to them down, because right away you are using your superiority by being a father or a mother as if that gives you the right to become disrespectful. Communication works best when you are respectful, because at that time you are a role model for your children to follow. When you communicate, I would love that you do not keep saying you, but rather say I. You cannot keep saying you tend to forget your homework all the time. You do not organize your room. You stay on the phone too long. But if you can put it in your way, say, I notice that your phone is being used a lot, and I'm a little concerned. Are you speaking to the right people? Can you make me feel comfortable about that? I would like to know more. When it comes to the phone, that by itself can talk for an hour about it. But when you find your kid is on the phone too long, I think one of the main reasons when you come to communicate, you and your kid put your phone away. Not allowed to hold it. You as a dad don't allow to hold it. He is not allowed to hold it. No TV, no screen, no remote control. All of you are face to face, looking at each other. You are listening with so much attention as if you are listening to a theologian. And when he talks to you about the phone, understand the phone is the life of a kid. Don't belittle it. Understand their position. But in the same time, you as a dad has a lot to offer. Start talking to him. Listen, I like you also use the phone a lot. But let's talk about the good and the bad. Can you tell me what are the 5 good things you use for the phone, by the phone? And tell me 5 other things you think it's affecting you negatively. And you can bring your daughter, your son, your wife, and have a family talk. That's called family communications. Rather than you come in with a constitutional principle saying no phones is allowed. Talk about this and then let them share their negatives. Oh, since I start using the phone, I feel like I used to be A-, now I'm hardly B-. Since I start using the phone, I feel like if I lose the phone, I get so stressed. Since I start using the phone, my video games make me very stressed, and I'm waiting to be on the game because my friends are already playing, and when they play and I'm not here, I feel like I'm missing. You heard about an anxiety. You heard stress. You heard jealousy. You heard comparing himself to his friend. You heard a lot. This is his life. Get into his head and understand. So when you communicate, you cannot tell, no phone anymore. No, you have to tell him, okay, so what do you think we should do to help you during this dilemma of the phone? I like one of the things that being said a lot, that when the kid himself comes and tell you, I want you to take the phone from me for a week. Let's listen to this question. Many times when I speak with my husband, he's just not interested. He's ready to fight. I just avoid the communication. Instead, I go to other people to share. But last week we spoke about discussions with or communications with the husband and wife, and I'm trying to make this time dedicated to the children. So if that's okay, please listen to the last week recording. Oh, I just found out that we never answered this question, so I think it's my fault. I will answer it, but let me finish the children communication first. My son is 10 years old and does not want to make friends and want to stay alone. Is a time where he is going to change from one gender to the other. I'm not too concerned yet. However, I'm concerned that he wants to stay alone. And I would like to help your son not to stay alone too long. For example, what are out of the house activities are you offering? Can you bike with him? Can you get his cousins and his friends to bike? Can you take him to the park where other kids can be? Can you get him to a gym and you and him go to the gym together? Can you enroll him in a basketball team or a track running team or any type of team? What did you do as a parent to make the outside activities more enticing? Second, why don't you try to learn, investigate, research, discuss? Why is he not interested in other people, friendships? There may be something that you will find, that people were very mean to him, they bullied him, they made fun of him, and since that time he hasn't been interested to go back. I remember a kid who hasn't come to the church too long, and after a lot of talking, he finally admitted that people were making fun of him and the way he talks, so he prefers not to come. And it took a lot of courage and a lot of building of self-confidence for this child to come back. Coming back to the I and you message, when you as a parent tell your child, I love when you leave your phone and spend time with the family, you can't imagine how much I feel. I feel so thrilled when I see you playing outside ball with your sister rather than you stay too long playing video games. You are communicating a message of go and play outside with your sister. Don't spend time in video games. But you are saying it in the I rather than the you messages. Okay. One of the things that we do bad in as parents, that we nag and we repeat and we keep annoying the kids by the same thing so many times. I love when I hear, listen guys, I want to have a discussion with you regarding how many times I should repeat myself. So for example, we're going to have dinner. I'm going to say it 3 times. If you guys do not come for dinner, then you will have no phone for the rest of the night. I'll just put off the router, and Dad and I don't care about internet. That's your call. But I'm going to give you 3 chances just in case if you are doing a video game or doing a homework or doing something else. Unless you come down and tell me the reason why you can't be with us on a family dinner, then please do not get upset if I make you lose internet time the rest of the night. You're speaking like me. You are not too angry. You are not punishing. You are pre-warning, and you are communicating a plan rather than communicating an order. And the same goes for many things. Rather than if you come down to the dinner, come there 15 times to the extent your request became so unimportant because you say it too many times. I want you to go back that your requests need to be less common but more influential and more effective. I would like the communications to be scheduled, not haphazard. Meaning, for example, all of you will agree that Thursday at 8:30 p.m. is a family time. That means mom does not cook after that time. Dad will not do work at that time. All the kids will be done with their homework at that time. No one will schedule an outing or a friend to visit during this time. This is your family time. And you plan it. You can bring a movie with an idea that you may like to bring up. Could be something about perversion, sexual perversions. You want to talk about it with your kids. And when you come to talk about it, you already have studied and you know what you talk about. It could be about bullying. It could be about homosexuality. It could be about how to do well in school, whatever. You may have a family talk because this week you lost somebody close to the family. And you want to talk about grieving, sadness, how to work out our sadness, how to think of the person we lost. Did we actually lose him or her? What does it mean heaven and earth are connected through prayer? And that's what we do in liturgy. When we bring the names of those who departed, because they pray for us as we pray for them, as we remember them. All of this gives you the feeling that you are scheduling a family talk, not leaving it to chance, because the chance more than likely will be lost. Okay, a question. My kid always asks me to volunteer at school and I cannot do it because of my job. I thought about taking a day off and to do so. Then she keeps asking me to work at her school. Also, my daughter is in Catholic school and always asks me to attend the Friday Mass with her like other moms do. I told her we go to our church in Coptic Sunday. Is that enough? Listen, Mom, you should be very proud that your daughter wants you to attend activities with her. I'm going to speak as a parent and as an educator. I cannot make what is the Coptic policy. I'm not a priest or a bishop or anything. But I think I will know what the fathers of the church will say. Of course, attend the Mass with her. Of course, attend the activities with her. Do you have to have communion? I prefer not. And then you tell them, because we have our tradition, our Coptic Orthodox Church, we actually have the different way of attending liturgy and preparing for liturgy, but you attend with your daughter. If she wants to volunteer in school, good for you. That means your daughter loves having you. You are blessed to have a daughter who wants you to be with her. I wish all of us our sons and daughters will ask us to come to school. I will never forget that kid who asked me to come to his school to help him in a detention. And when I told him, is your dad or mom coming? He said, Dad will never care to come. I will never forget that kid. And he said it with a lot of bitterness. God give me the blessing to be as if I'm his dad. But this dad missed a lot. Because when his kid was in trouble, his father did not appear to be with him. I see a lot of moms going with their kids to schools. Where are the dads? What is the father role in the lives of his children? You said, can I take a day off and be with my daughter? Of course you should take a day off. But if she's asking her dad, because sometimes they ask the dads to come and speak about their jobs, and the dad says no, or I don't have time, you're missing a lot, Dad. You will be blessed and lucky if your son and daughter needs you in school. I don't mean detention, but I mean for any reasons. Parents meeting in church, activity, choir, celebrations. Absence of father figure is a major issue in the growth of our generation today. By the way, this is something I need to talk about in a different week. The role of the fathers in the lives of their children. Another question. My 7-year-old child, sometimes not easy to listen to us, need long discussion before he obeys, especially about study. Normal. Why would a 7-year-old love study? He would be abnormal. I can't imagine. You and I, when we were 7, we were so happy to study. Oh, I have so much work to do. Of course we would push to study. So if you have to push your kid to study, of course that's normal. And by the way, I want to say something just for your ears. Schooling in America, if you have been schooled in Egypt, is completely different. We need 6 hours a day because we have to memorize many things. They can finish their homework and everything in 1 hour and they do well. So rather than you tell your kid to keep studying, just ask him, what did you study today? We call it open-ended questions. Nothing like, did you pass the exam? Yes. Did you eat your food? Yes. Did you go to church? No. Did your teacher punished you? No. No. What happened with the teacher you were very concerned last night that you are about to have a meeting with? That's a communication. You were very scared yesterday to go back because the kids were making fun of you. What happened when you met them? That's a communication. You came yesterday and your shirt were buttonless and it seems somebody ripped your shirt in a fight. I noticed and I felt bad to talk about it yesterday. Would you like to talk about it now, please? He may say no, and you tell him, okay, I'm not going to push you now, but as a mom, as a dad, it's very difficult to sleep the second night without knowing what's happening. Can you promise me in an hour you come and talk to me? That's a communication. When you tell your kid, what happened? I see that I gave you some money and today you are asking for the same amount of money again. Can you please tell me what happened to the $20 I gave you? That's a communication. He needs to be a good steward for his money. Maybe he lost it. Maybe somebody stole it. Maybe he bought something he doesn't want to tell you. What is it that he bought? And why he can't tell you? Maybe he gave it to a poor guy. He should tell you, and you should encourage it. And even if it's something bad he did with the money, prepare yourself to what you're going to say. You can't shake him and tell him, and what do you think what you did? Do you think is something you should do again? Is that something you think Jesus will be proud of? You think that the thing that you bought is something will help you, will make you be a better person? Do you think the money that you did not care about, you think isn't that almost like a stewardship that God gives all of us to be careful with, because we can do many good things with the blessings of the money? This is called communications. So these are called open-ended questions. And an open-ended means that you do not finish the question by him answering yes or no. We need to learn that. My son is a second grade. He is not listening to anyone, neither me or his dad, nor even his teachers at school. Every day I receive a complaint from his teacher. I know that he is so intelligent, but his behavior is embarrassing. So this is not a question I can handle easy on the phone, on the screen, because I think he needs to be somebody talk to him in a nice long discussion like this. I see you are very, very smart. Sometimes I feel like you are smarter than Einstein. I think one day you are going to be an amazing person. Don't you see that? What do you want to be in the future? What type of studies you want to be in? But if you want to be an astronaut, teacher, lawyer, what do you think you need to do from now until then? Do you think you need to change anything in your behavior at school so you can get better grades? Why are your teachers complaining about you? Is it them or you or your friends? Let him complain. Let him say the teachers are annoying and this and this and that. Try to absorb. The more talk you have with your kid, the more you will understand, and perhaps you can help him. Sometimes physical issues affect kids. Being restless could be completely normal behavior as long as he's doing good in school. So I'm not diagnosing attention deficit or ADHD or anything. But restlessness, being restless, is something occasionally related to something organic. So maybe a pediatrician also needs to make his or her opinion. Also, if you make your child work out in many things as a second grader, sometimes when he goes to school, he is less edgy, less antsy. But at the end, he may be completely normal. And what he needs is a teacher who understands him better and does not give him so much theoreticals, but rather a lot of practical work. And that needs an investment from that school as well. But it's difficult to assess that without actually meeting the boy. I want to get back to a couple of the ideas I was mentioning. When I said make a family time, I hope you guys do not take me as a fool and you say, he doesn't know what he's talking about. That never happens. Many families are doing this. And the growth in knowing God is clear when we sit as a family. I'm not saying take an hour reading the Bible, but take 5 minutes to read a verse. Take 5 minutes to speak about meditation. Take another half hour to laugh and play a board game. And take another 20 minutes to talk about an issue at home. I'll tell you something that most families do not do, but I personally believe in it so much. Being secretive is something about us Middle Eastern parents that we think our kids cannot endure bad or difficult scenarios. So if God forbid mom is having a biopsy tomorrow, your grandmother is coming to spend time with you. Mom and dad are leaving very early tomorrow. We have something to attend to. What is happening? No, don't worry about it. Everything is fine. But Tata will be here. I'll leave the sandwich for you to take. Mom, why are you taking me? Not taking me to school? No. That's okay. No. Where is your? And you change the subject. Why? Just to give me a good reason. Why your kid cannot be involved in a serious matter like this? Another question. Dad, God forbid, lost his job. The kid is asking for a sneaker for $150. And the dad wants to get the sneaker so he does not make the kid feel that he lost his job. So he borrows, or I know what. Why? That means that we are not believing that our kids can be growing to become resilient. Why can't you tell him, Mom has a little thing that she has to go to the doctor to. He may have a little bit of a cut. In order for him to make sure that Mom is good, we need to pray for her, so when she comes back, she will be fine. You made the kids get involved that God is so important when we have something serious. The faith of those kids are much stronger than your faith and mine. Their belief in God, that God will be with Mom tomorrow, will be more peaceful to her than any one of us praying for your wife. God forbid if you're losing your job, what's wrong with saying, darling, I can't get you the sneaker now. I promise as soon as I have a better job, because unfortunately I may have to change jobs now. So I may not be able to get a lot of expensive things in the coming 2 months, but very soon everything will be fine. But please pray for me so I find the right job. What's wrong with that system? Why are becoming so secretive, as if the kids are less enduring than us? And when they are become 14 and 15, it's a lot worse when they know Mom had surgery and we didn't know. Dad has lost his job and we didn't know. Dad is about to move to a different state and he just told us last week. Why? Why these shocking news are not being communicated amongst us as a family? I hope this is not even happening between Mom and Dad. When Dad doesn't tell Mom about secrets in his life or the reverse, that's even horrible. He's going to go through a major issue at work and he doesn't talk about it. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You are always upset. What? He doesn't say anything. I'm going to the doctor. What's wrong? Nothing. I'm going to the doctor. What? Why? Why? We are one body, all of us. The question that came about the husband and wife that I failed to answer last time because it came a little late, she basically was saying, many times when I speak with my husband, I feel he is not interested and he just basically it becomes a fight. Instead, I go to other people to share what I feel. This is, in turn, makes me distant from my spouse. I want to apply that to the family in general and the parents specifically. When we do not know how to communicate with each other, unfortunately, we lose that line, and that line can be open to somebody else that you may not like. If you don't speak to your kids about sex when they are growing up, they are going to learn about sex from bad channels. If a husband and wife don't talk, one of them will be talking, but we don't know with who. Hopefully with a priest, but we can't be sure. So for all whoever is hearing me, I hope you make the time and effort, because listening is a blessing to the extent God did not put any lips or shutters in our ears. Although He did this, and He did the eyelids. We can close our eyes, we can close our mouth. but we can always listen. So listening to your wife, to your children, is a must, is a blessing to the extent those ears were blessed with the Maroon oil, so we can hear each other and bless what we hear, and what we hear of, we communicate back with a blessing, because this is blessed with the Maroon oil, and the mouth was blessed with the Maroon oil. So what you speak of is governed and authoritated by the Holy Spirit that dwells in us as a temple of God. I want to end in the last few minutes by saying what happened with if we try to control our children through guilt, which means trying to make children feeling guilty because of what they said, what they did, or what they thought. For example, your kid said, "I don't love God." Or he said, "I hate church." Or she said, "I hate Dad." I know. And rather than you understand what is the reason for these difficult and horrible sentences, you take them and you flip back on them. And you make them feel guilty. How dare you say, "I hate God"? How dare you say, "I don't like the church"? God will be upset from you. Don't do that. That's completely unhealthy. Completely unhealthy. When Christ was sitting next to Simon the leper, who were thinking ill of the woman who poured ointment on Jesus' feet, he told him, "Simon, I have a question for you. Two debtors came, one 500 and 150. Whom do you think?" Question. Ask. Talk. Communicate. He never told them, "You have a crooked mind. How can you think bad of me as a teacher, as a rabbi, or this woman as a sinful woman?" No. Give him a question. Give him a puzzle. Give him a parable. God always spoke with questions and parable. This is the best communications. Ask questions that doesn't have yes or no. Give examples, which like the parables that our Lord did. And that's why he was loved by everyone. By Nicodemus the elder, and by the children who came to sit next to him. We as parents need to relearn how to make communications in a way that we bring our children back to our bosom and they love us more. Sorry, a question just came. I hope I'm not keeping you too long. I am an Egyptian mom. My daughter is born in the US. She is not picking up any Arabic, and when I try to force it, she gets frustrated. Sometimes when I communicate, I try to translate what I want to say from Arabic to English, and it doesn't come out right. This mainly happens when I try to translate some concepts. What I was raised on, or pray with my daughter with songs, and memorize most of the Agbeya prayer and Bible in Arabic. It's easier for me. I want her to learn Arabic, but she doesn't want to. I am worried of what I'm going to say because I'm going to get you upset. Your daughter is absolutely right, and you are absolutely wrong. When you came to the States, did you want your daughter to stay in Egypt, or you brought her with you? And when you brought her with you, how do you want her to communicate in life with that the first language she knows of in school and church and everywhere is English? Do you think God is so narrow-minded that he only understands Arabic? Earth speaks Arabic. In the heavens, from every tongue, from every tribe, from every nation, innumerable number in front of the throne of God. Go and read Revelation 7. So you as a mom, and all of us, Please do not push a language on your kids. Make them pray with what they understand. This is not speaking in tongues. She may say Arabic things and she doesn't understand. What is that beneficial to her? When St. Paul said, talking about tongues, said, what is the benefit to a layman if you speak a tongue that I don't speak? How am I going to say Amen? If I were your mom, you pray English with your daughter. You pray the songs with your daughter. You bring English songs for your daughter. You attend English liturgy with your daughter. You ask Abuna to speak all English liturgy and don't push the poor priests. Please speak Arabic in liturgy. Please pray in Arabic, Abuna. We miss Arabic. So if you miss Arabic, why did you come to the States? Why? She did not immigrate, you did. And if you did, that's why we're doing programs like this. For all of us who came here and want our children to become not this generation. I'm not worried about your daughter. What about 3 generations from now? You will be in heaven by then. 100 years from now. Would your daughter have, at that time your daughter will be a grandmother. Would her granddaughter be attached to the church or not? Will be worshiping God or not? That's the main question you should ask. How do you do that? By making your daughter worship God in truth and trembling. Not the language. Heart. Worship through the heart and the mind. Not the tongue. Doesn't make any difference. Be proud of your daughter that she wants to pray with you. And please don't frustrate her by pushing a language she doesn't understand. Don't keep telling her answer in Arabic, answer her. Why? Why? Just tell me a good reason. Why she has to speak Arabic? I know I'm going to get so many questions today. But what is the benefit? You came here. You cannot bring Egypt into her house. You must bring Christ into your house. I love Egypt, but when I brought my kids, I want them to be Christian Americans. They have Egypt as the motherland of their ancestors. They can go to the monasteries and love that Egypt is the only country beside Palestine was visited by our Lord. Be proud of that. Fine. But language, if you're really talking about language, you should be speaking Coptic, not Arabic. So I'm very sorry if I got heated up about this, but I worry about our children when parents are pushing them into a way that I think our Lord will look at them and say, those are my children. They can speak in sighs. They can speak in feelings I will understand. But I'm very grateful to your question because I'm sure many other moms and dads will appreciate hopefully the answer as well. Thank you very much for your time. Today we discussed how to improve our communications with our children. This was Family Matters. Until we meet again, God willing, on Saturday at 10 p.m., where we shift our hearts towards our families. May God bless you. Have a great week. Thank you.